Welcome back, or welcome for the first time, to Dark Dive The Strange, Hidden, and Untold. I'm Vera.
And I'm Kevin. And Vera, I'm already feeling a little tingly, I guess, about today's topic. What are we diving into today?
Oh, Kevin, you have no idea. Today we're venturing into a rabbit hole that makes even our usual strange stories seem, well, kind of mundane. We're talking about something known as the Montauk Project.
The Montauk Project? That sounds ominous. Is that like a secret government initiative to, I don't know, train pigeons for espionage? Because that would be cool.
Not quite pigeons, though honestly, after today, you might not put it past them. No, the Montauk Project is often dubbed the real life Stranger Things.
Whoa, wait, hold on. Stranger Things like 11, Demogorgons, Upside Down, Waffles, Stranger Things. Are you telling me that show is based on actual government experiments? My mind is already kind of blown.
Exactly that, Kevin. Well, allegedly. It's an enduring conspiracy theory centered around an abandoned military base on Long Island, and it involves everything from mind control to, wait for it, time travel and interdimensional manipulation.
Okay, time travel, mind control, and Stranger Things? You've certainly got my attention. My skepticism is already preparing for a workout, but I'm also morbidly curious.
Oh, you should be. It's a wild ride, and we're going to unpack some truly extraordinary, some might say fantastical, claims. We'll explore the whispers of secret underground facilities, psychic children, and a narrative that has just captivated imaginations for decades.
So, basically, we're going to figure out if Hawkins, Indiana, is actually Montauk, New York, and if there's a portal to another dimension hidden somewhere in a bunker.
Pretty much. So, buckle up, Dark Divers, because things are about to get strange, hidden, and definitely untold. Are you ready, Kevin?
As ready as I'll ever be. Let's do this. But if you see any flickering lights, just, give me a heads up.
Okay, so let's set the scene, shall we? Imagine this, the windswept eastern tip of Long Island. You've got the Atlantic Ocean meeting rocky shores. Sounds, pretty idyllic, right?
Yeah, sounds like a nice place for a weekend getaway. Maybe some clam chowder.
Well, exactly. But right there on that scenic tip sits an abandoned military installation. It's called Camp Hero. And this, my friend, is where our story truly begins. It's become, believe it or not, the epicenter of one of America's most enduring conspiracy theories.
A military installation? Abandoned? Okay, already less clam chowder and more like flickering lights in the distance. Is it like a creepy old fort type of place?
Oh, absolutely. Think Cold War vibes. It was a strategic air defense station during World War II and the Cold War, so it's got these massive concrete bunkers, towering, eerie radar installations. Now, officially, it's a state park. You can go visit it.
Wait, people can just like walk around this place? The alleged real life Stranger Things location? That's wild. So you're saying, kids on bikes could totally stumble upon something weird?
Potentially, it's open to the public. But here's the kicker beneath that official, perfectly normal state park history, there's this darker narrative, a story that's captured imaginations for decades, the alleged Montauk Project.
The Montauk Project. So it's not just a spooky abandoned base. It's got like a whole secret identity. My unease levels are definitely ticking up. What kind of secrets are we talking about here? Because, darker narrative implies more than just like forgotten laundry in the bunkers.
Oh, way more than laundry. We're talking about a secret government program that supposedly pushed the boundaries of human consciousness and reality itself. So while it looks like a harmless, albeit atmospheric, state park today, the whisper is it harbored something far more unsettling.
Okay, push the boundaries of human consciousness and reality itself. That's a bit much. So it's not just like old missile silos, I don't even know what to call that. A mind bending playground for secret ops? This is starting to sound properly bonkers, Vera, and I'm kind of into it.
All right, so you've got this abandoned military base, right? Sounds like a good setting for a ghost story. But this isn't just a ghost story, Kevin. This is where things get truly wild.
Oh, good. Because pushing the boundaries of reality wasn't wild enough. What's next? Aliens?
Well, hold that thought. The story, the real story, begins in the 1980s, and it starts with a man named Preston Nichols. Now, Preston claimed he had recovered repressed memories. Like he suddenly remembered things that were conveniently forgotten.
Recovered memories, huh? That's always a little suspicious, isn't it? Especially when they involve like secret government programs and stuff. My skeptical alarm bells are already like dinging quietly in the background.
Oh, his memories were anything but quiet. He claimed he was involved in these clandestine experiments at Montauk. And when I say clandestine, I mean super secret. The kind of secret where, they're playing with mind control.
Mind control? Okay, so like subliminal messages and elevator music, or more intense?
Much, much more intense. We're talking mind control, time travel, and wait for it, interdimensional manipulation.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on. Time travel? And interdimensional manipulation? Vera, are we still talking about a state park on Long Island? Because that sounds less like a park ranger's job and more like, a Marvel movie plot.
According to Preston Nichols, absolutely. He said this facility, Camp Hero, housed a massive underground complex. Not just a basement, Kevin. We're talking 12 levels deep. 12.
12 levels? Underneath a state park? That's, the logistics alone. How do you even dig that without, someone noticing? Like a little dirt pile the size of a small mountain?
Good question. But Preston claimed it was there. And down there in this alleged subterranean labyrinth, hundreds of scientists and technicians were apparently conducting research that would make science fiction seem mundane. Literally.
Okay, make science fiction seem mundane. That's a bold claim. So, what were they trying to achieve exactly? Were they like trying to open a portal to another dimension to get better Wi Fi?
Well, they were pushing the boundaries of consciousness and reality. Remember? So, yeah, maybe they were trying to get better Wi Fi, but with, more catastrophic side effects. His claims they're really out there, but they're foundational to this entire conspiracy. It's the starting point for all the really bizarre stuff that comes next.
So, he just suddenly remembered all this after decades? That's a convenient memory recovery, I guess. My brain is already kind of struggling to process this. Like, my jaw's on the floor, but I'm also squinting. Is he a crackpot or is there like a shred of something here? I wait, what?
Oh, Kevin, this is where it goes from like weird science fiction to genuinely unsettling because Preston's claims didn't just stop at mind control for like adults or military personnel. No, no. He alleged that the experiments involved children and teenagers.
Children? Wait, like actual kids in these underground 12-level deep time traveling labs? That's that's a hard no from me.
A very hard no, right? These children and teenagers were uh, disturbingly dubbed the Montauk Boys. And according to these accounts, they were subjected to psychological programming,
Okay, psychological programming sounds like a polite way to say brainwashing.
pretty much. But it wasn't just programming, it was also psychic enhancement. So, like training them to develop telepathy, psychokinesis, moving things with their minds, the whole kit and caboodle.
psychic enhancement. So they were trying to create like super powered child soldiers? This is literally sounding like Stranger Things. You weren't kidding with the subtitle of the podcast.
I told you, and it gets even more outlandish. Some claims even suggested temporal displacement. That's, a fancy way of saying they were experimenting with time travel on these kids.
Okay, I'm speechless. Temporal displacement of children? My brain is like short-circuiting. So, they're not just moving things with their minds, they're possibly moving through time? How on earth did they even like supposedly do this? With what? A giant clock?
Well, the narrative describes these really fantastical technologies. They allegedly utilized advanced radar technology. Remember, Camp Hero was a radar station, along with electromagnetic fields and even pharmaceutical compounds. All this to alter consciousness and supposedly bend the fabric of space time itself.
Bend the fabric of space-time just to make some kids psychic and send them to where? The future to buy a lottery ticket? The past to stop like a bad fashion trend? I mean, this is so wild, it almost circles back to being funny if it wasn't about kids.
It paints a truly horrifying picture of systematic abuse designed to create psychic operatives, people capable of manifesting physical reality through thought alone. Think about that for a second.
I am thinking about it, and it's a lot. I'm just picturing a kid looking at a pizza, and suddenly it's a gourmet meal or, I don't know, a monster. This is truly insane.
And it doesn't stop there. The Montauk Project narrative actually weaves in elements from other conspiracy theories, creating this sprawling web of interconnected government cover ups.
Oh, of course it does. Why have one conspiracy when you can have a whole buffet?
Exactly. So, some versions of the story claim that mass psychological experiments, like using enormous subliminal messages, were invented there, or even the creation of a Men in Black corps.
Like the Will Smith Men in Black? Seriously? This is getting more and more cartoonish, even for me. So, these Montauk boys grow up to be the men in black who go around silencing people?
Well, the idea was to confuse and frighten the public. And this is where it gets really dark, Kevin. Some versions of the story even claim that the AIDS virus was developed at the Montauk facility.
Whoa, whoa. Hold on. The AIDS virus? Vera, that's a whole other level of dark. That's not just bend the fabric of space-time. That's accusing the government of creating a deadly global pandemic. That's that's a leap. A massive, terrifying leap.
It is. And it demonstrates how the Montauk Project has become this kind of catch all explanation for numerous unexplained phenomena and alleged government misconduct. If something bad happened or something strange, well, it could be tied back to Montauk. It's a convenient, albeit terrifying, answer for everything.
So, basically, it's the ultimate conspiracy theory. It's got mind control, time travel, interdimensional portals, psychic children, government abuse, and global pandemics, all rolled into one neat little, albeit horrifying package. I'm I'm struggling to process this. My jaw's on the floor, and I think it might stay there for a while. This is a lot to take in.
Okay, Kevin? Deep breaths. I know that was a lot. And, well, if your jaw is still on the floor, prepare for it to possibly lift a little or maybe just hang in a different kind of disbelief. Because now we have to talk about the skeptical perspective.
Oh, thank goodness. Because honestly, Vera, my brain was starting to melt. I was like, is this real? Am I going to develop psychic powers just from listening to this? So, yeah, hit me with the skepticism, please.
Right? So, despite all those incredibly wild, bordering on ludicrous claims, the overwhelming consensus among pretty much, everyone grounded in reality is that there's absolutely no verifiable evidence whatsoever for the Montauk Project. None.
Yeah, I mean, that was my immediate thought. Even while you were telling me about the time travel and the children, it's like, how do you hide a 12-story underground facility let alone all those experiments without someone finding something? Like a single receipt? A stray psychic child?
Exactly. We're talking about purportedly a massive underground facility, 12 levels deep, performing these incredibly complex, highly sensitive experiments. And yet, there's no concrete evidence of its construction, its operation, or frankly, even its existence beyond, the stories.
Right, no blueprints, no strange energy readings, no whistleblowers who weren't already claiming repressed memories. It's like building a secret city under Central Park and expecting no one to notice the digging or like the constant hum of a time machine.
Precisely. The logistics alone just make it seem, well, impossible. Imagine the sheer amount of infrastructure, the supply chains, the personnel management required for something of that scale. It would be virtually impossible to conceal. We're talking about hundreds or thousands of people supposedly involved. Where did they all go? Where are their families? It's just, it doesn't add up.
So, if there's no physical evidence, then what is the foundation for all these wild claims? I mean, it can't just be whispers, right?
Well, this brings us to the core issue for skeptics: the overwhelming reliance on repressed memories. Preston Nichols, the central figure, claimed to have recovered his memories of involvement, and many of the other individuals who came forward also spoke of repressed or recovered memories.
And I've heard before that repressed memories can be tricky, like not always super reliable, especially when they involve really traumatic or fantastical events.
They are incredibly problematic. While traumatic memories can indeed be repressed, the concept of recovered memories, particularly those describing elaborate, fantastic scenarios, has been heavily scrutinized and, frankly, discredited in many therapeutic and legal contexts. There's a significant risk of false memories being implanted or created, especially in a suggestive environment.
So basically, what if someone was like primed to think they had these memories, even if they didn't? Or they heard the stories and then, their brain kind of filled in the blanks? It's like when you dream something vivid and then later you're not sure if it actually happened.
It's a valid concern. The scientific community, particularly psychophysicists and UFO researchers like Jacques Vallée, who have looked into this, have also expressed serious questions about the reliability of the accounts. They point out that the scientific community's skepticism regarding the validity of repressed memory recovery techniques is a major hurdle for the Montauk narrative.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's not just we don't see the evidence, it's the source of the evidence is inherently unreliable. Like if someone tells you a story, but they admit they were dreaming it.
Exactly. Furthermore, the Montauk Project's emergence coincided with a heightened public interest in government conspiracy theories following revelations about actual programs like MK Ultra.
Oh, the mind control experiments? Yeah, I remember those were real.
Right. So, it's argued that the story may represent a conflation of documented historical events with fictional elements. Camp Hero State Park was a genuine Air Force station and radar facility during the Cold War. It's easy for people to look at existing structures and, well, let their imaginations run wild, especially if they're already primed for conspiracy.
So it's like a spooky setting, a legitimate past, and then someone adds like the entire plot of a sci fi movie on top of it. I mean, after hearing all that, I gotta say, I feel a tiny bit of relief now. Like, maybe children weren't actually being used for time travel experiments in Long Island. What a concept, huh?
A very comforting concept. But still, the story persists, doesn't it? Even without hard evidence, it holds a strange power.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. Even if it's completely made up, it's like a really good story. A very unsettling story, but a good one.
And this is where it gets really interesting, Kevin, because regardless of its factual basis or, lack thereof, the Montauk Project has left an undeniable mark on popular culture, like a huge one.
Oh, are we talking about what I think we're talking about? The big one?
We are absolutely talking about the big one. The fact that it directly inspired the Netflix series Stranger Things demonstrates just how deeply these stories continue to resonate with contemporary audiences.
Aha! I knew it. Because when you were talking about the Montauk Boys and the psychic powers and the secret government experiments, my mind immediately went to like 11 and the Upside Down in Hawkins' lab. So, it really is based on this?
It is. The show's depiction of government experiments on children, interdimensional portals, psychic abilities, it all draws directly from the Montauk mythology. It basically took these decades old conspiracy theories and introduced them to a whole new generation of viewers. And let's be honest, it did it with like a really cool 80s soundtrack.
It totally makes sense now. I mean, the parallels are like spot on. It's not just a passing resemblance, it's practically a direct adaptation of the core ideas, just, with a lot more demogorgons.
Exactly. But it begs the question, right? Why do these kinds of stories about secret government projects, psychic kids, and hidden dimensions resonate so deeply with us, even when we know, or at least strongly suspect, they're not real?
I think, I mean, for me, there's that primal fear of the unknown, right? Like, what if there's stuff out there we don't know about? What if the government is hiding things? And then you add the idea of like super powerful kids, and it's just inherently fascinating. It taps into, a part of our imagination that loves fantasy, but also really worries about privacy.
It absolutely does. The enduring appeal of the Montauk Project, and by extension, Stranger Things, reflects deeper cultural anxieties. We're talking about government overreach, the ethics of scientific experimentation, and honestly, the very nature of reality itself.
Yeah, because in an age where we're constantly hearing about like new technologies, AI, deep fakes, the lines between what's real and what's not are already kind of blurry. So, a story about someone literally bending reality, even if it's fiction, feels almost plausible in a weird way.
And it also taps into that distrust of institutions that's unfortunately become quite prevalent. When you've had historical government misconduct, revelations about actual secret programs, stories like the Montauk Project, even if they're fictional, serve as cautionary tales about unchecked power and the potential for abuse in the name of national security.
So, it's not just about the monsters or the psychic powers, it's about what we're afraid could happen, Like the dark side of human ingenuity or humanity being exploited. That's actually pretty deep, Vera. I just thought it was cool science fiction.
Well, it is cool sci fi, but it's also a reflection of our collective fears and fascinations. It shows how powerful storytelling can be, even when the stories themselves are, shall we say, a bit unsupported by evidence. And that's really the lingering question, isn't it? As visitors explore Camp Hero State Park, they're walking through a place that exists right at the intersection of documented history and, well, speculative fiction. The military base, the Cold War history, that's all real. But the absence of concrete evidence for the Montauk Project's wilder claims hasn't, diminished its cultural power one bit.
Yeah, it's like the idea of it is more powerful than the proof, which is kind of messed up when you think about it. It's almost like people want to believe it, even if deep down they know it's probably not real.
Exactly. Perhaps the most compelling question here isn't whether the Montauk Project actually occurred as described, but why such stories continue to capture our collective imagination. In a world where the boundaries between reality and fiction feel increasingly blurred, where government surveillance capabilities seem to exceed the wildest spy fiction, and where scientific advancement sometimes outpaces ethical consideration, the Montauk Project serves as both a cautionary tale and, honestly, a mirror.
A mirror reflecting what exactly? Our deepest fears?
Our deepest fears about power, control, and the very nature of human consciousness itself. It's like we've always been fascinated by hidden truths, by what's really going on behind the curtain. And these bunkers, those silent concrete structures at Camp Hero, they remain silent, but their secrets, if any, are locked away, either in classified documents or just, buried beneath decades of speculation.
So it's less about whether it happened and more about what it represents to us. Like the ultimate what if scenario about government gone rogue or science going too far.
Pretty much. Whether the Montauk Project represents some suppressed historical truth or just an elaborate, really compelling piece of fiction, its legacy continues to challenge how we understand the relationship between government, science, and, you know, the human experience. Ultimately, Kevin, I think that enduring mystery, that's the most powerful aspect of the Montauk Project.
Yeah, I get that. It's not so much what it reveals about the past, but what it continues to illuminate about our present fears and future possibilities. It's like a sandbox for our anxieties.
A very dark, very trippy sandbox. And that, I think, is why it continues to resonate. It's a testament to the power of a good story, even if that story involves psychic children, time travel, and interdimensional portals.
Phew, what a ride. That was something else, Vera. Thanks for taking us down that rabbit hole. And thanks to all of you for diving deep with us into the strange, hidden, and untold story of the Montauk Project.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us on this wild, wild journey. We hope you enjoyed peeling back the layers of this particular conspiracy, whether you're a believer or a skeptic.
For sure. If you've got thoughts on the Montauk Project, or if you've, actually visited Camp Hero and felt a weird vibe, let us know. We'd love to hear your theories, your experiences, or even just your general bafflement in the comments.
We've got so many more bizarre tales, forgotten histories, and unsolved mysteries coming your way. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a single deep dive.
That's right. Because here on Dark Dive, the strange, hidden, and untold, we're always on the lookout for those stories that make you scratch your head and wonder, what else is out there?
Until next time, stay curious, stay questioning, and maybe keep an eye on those old abandoned military bases. You just never know what's really lurking beneath.